right. Well, first of all, really want to welcome you all here to Carlisle. We are Cumberland Goodwill EMS. We are the emergency medical service that serves about 116 square miles right here in downtown Carlisle from our station. I'm Nathan Herrig. I'm the Assistant Chief of Administration, and I am honored to be joined by representatives from our state government here, from the Office of the State Fire Commissioner, from the Department of Health, and from PEMA, to talk to you about what's really important for us is to get the help that we need as responders to be able to serve our communities better. You know, I went to college at St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. We are very big on Mr. Rogers out there, and Mr. Rogers' phrase was always look for the helpers when something bad is happening. And I have a team behind me, both in the ambulance and literally standing here, who are looking to help us help others. So we're really appreciative of their efforts and supportive of them trying to help us be able to afford all the equipment we need to respond in an emergency. Right now I want to turn it over to the Office of the State Fire Commissioner, Mr. Tom Cook here. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. So, hello, and thank you all for coming out to support Governor Shapiro's proposed $30 million budget increase for fire and EMS programs. To the EMS and fire service providers here today and listening, you need this. To the legislators and community leaders that are here today, or those listening, the people you depend on need this. I've spent the last year traveling across the Commonwealth, meeting with the men and women of the Pennsylvania Fire Service and other emergency response agencies. The most common themes that we hear is a lack of resources. Fire and EMS companies can't afford to replace outdated trucks or buy the equipment that they need to do their jobs. Fire and EMS companies across the state are hurting for volunteers and career personnel alike and don't have the resources to fund their recruitment and retention efforts. Costs aren't going down. In fact, just one ambulance stretcher system like the ones used here at the Cumberland Goodwill EMS company can cost upwards of $40,000. A cost that has risen very sharply in recent years. As an operation that tries to run 10 ambulances, you can see costs add up very quickly. So let's talk about the numbers. Under the current grant program, the maximum amount a single EMS company can receive is $15,000. For a company like this one that we're at today, that's just 3% of the amount required to outfit their ambulance fleet with essential equipment. Governor Shapiro's budget proposal to double the fire and EMS grant funding from the current $30 million to $60 million is a significant step forward in supporting our state's first responders. This increased funding will directly benefit our fire and EMS organizations, allowing them to better serve their communities. Thanks again for showing up today, and I will now turn it over to Director Padfield from PEMA.
Thanks, Commissioner Cook. It is great to be here today. And I thank Nathan, obviously, for the opportunity to come out here. I always feel more comfortable in a fire or EMS station than actually being at work in a office setting. I always feel much more grounded to the work that we do from a public safety perspective, being out actually with the individuals that do the work. So good afternoon, everyone. And like I said, it's great to be here with Acting Department of Health Secretary Dr. Bogan and Fire Commissioner Tom Cook to discuss the Shapiro-Davis administration's initiative to increase the funding in the 24-25 budget for fire and EMS agencies. As you're well aware, Governor Shapiro and all of us in the administration and represented here today understand the importance of public safety to the residents and visitors of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The delivery of fire and emergency medical services across the state varies because of the diversity within the Commonwealth. However, one thing remains consistent no matter where you live. Fire and EMS services are faced with an ever-increasing demand for services and an ever-decreasing pool of resources and support. This is not something that is new. We've been talking about this for a number of years now, and we've seen the trend occur, and it's continuing to occur. I started my journey where I am today, or to where I am today, at age 12, when I became a member of a junior ambulance corps in my hometown, where I learned CPR and first aid before going on to be an emergency medical technician at age 16, and eventually to be a paramedic at age 19. Along a parallel path, my uncle was the fire chief in the borough where I grew up. I spent a tremendous amount of time at the fire station from a very young age before becoming a member of the fire company and serving as a volunteer firefighter as well. Back then, I learned a lot of things. Things were much simpler, and there were a lot of individuals involved in supporting the community at multiple levels. However, the most important thing that I learned in those early years was what it took to actually serve my community, a lesson that I carry with me today. Today, things are a lot more complex. And I kind of joke about this, and Nathan will understand this, that when I became a paramedic, we had to call to get a physician's order to be able to check somebody's blood sugar because we used a needle to get a drop of blood out of their finger. Now, it is much more complex, and there's a lot more responsibility that comes with any of the profession, either emergency medical services or fire. There's a lot more competition for discretionary time that families have available to them, which results in less time to volunteer, participate in other activities, or serve their communities. Add to that the ever-expanding responsibilities of public safety professionals, whether they are paid or volunteer. The bottom line is that the public expects a level of service when they call 911, and they really don't think about what it takes to deliver that level of service, who is delivering that service, or whether they are paid or volunteer. However, those involved in public safety know what it takes to provide the service the public expects. It takes time, dedication, hours of initial and continuing training, and significant sacrifice on behalf of the individuals that you see here today and the families who are committed to public service. It also takes funding, resources, and support from municipalities and elected officials. Without all of those pieces, the public safety delivery system is in jeopardy. That is why providing financial support to fire and emergency medical services agencies through the governor's budget is so critical. The additional funding that we're discussing today solves some of the most critical issues and is a much needed lifeline for many organizations. But it does not solve all of the challenges facing fire and EMS agencies currently, nor will it be enough as we look to the future. Governor Shapiro's administration and the cabinet members that are before you today are committed to doing what it takes to ensure when individuals call 911 that they receive the service they deserve, no matter where they are in the Commonwealth. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Acting Secretary of Health, Dr. Bowden.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioner Cook, Director Padfield, and especially to the first responders here today. I'm happy to be back here at Cumberland Goodwill EMS. This was one of the first of many EMS agencies I visited since being appointed as the Acting Secretary of Health last year. And it's clear from my visits with EMS agencies across this beautiful state, the first responder community is deeply committed to their work and to the people they serve. So I thank you all for your continued dedication to protecting the health and safety of residents and for your commitment to providing educational opportunities for young women and men interested in pursuing a career in healthcare. We owe you all a huge debt of gratitude. I, like the others here, fully support Governor Shapiro's proposal to provide additional funding to invest in EMS and fire services. You all put your lives on the line every time you're called to duty. You deserve our support in every way possible, and providing grants for equipment, facility upgrades, training, and recruitment is one important way we can provide that support. In addition to expanding the grant opportunities that Commissioner Cook mentioned, Earlier this month, the Department of Health launched a program to provide up to $1 million in tuition assistance for emergency medical services to recruit and retain workers. The program uses funds from the Firework Tax Act for the next 3 years to provide partial reimbursement for Pennsylvania residents certified as an emergency medical responder, emergency medical technician, advanced emergency medical technician, or a paramedic. The reimbursement amount varies based on the level of certification attained. EMS agencies like Cumberland Goodwill can also apply for up to $1,250 in reimbursement for recruitment and retention expenses. Emergency medical services professionals are an essential part of the healthcare system. Knowing that Pennsylvanians will have well-trained, qualified individuals arriving at their door 24/7 in the event of an emergency is a safeguard we all want to ensure. So again, thank you for being here today and for your commitment to protecting the health and safety of all of our residents. And I will turn this back over to Commissioner Cook. Thank you for having me here.
So at this time, we'll open it up to questions from the floor.
Can you just talk a little bit more specifically about this grant program and like the kind of resources that it provides to EMS and fire services?
So the grant program as it currently exists is to provide funding. It's two separate programs talked about as one. The fire side has a cap of $20,000, and it provides funding for equipment, training, facility maintenance, upgrades, never mind. And then recently, in the most recent reauthorization, they added recruitment and retention into the eligible programs that we can fund through that grant. On the EMS side, the programmatic piece stays the same, but it is capped at $15,000 for each EMS company.
And can you explain a little bit of kind of how short the current numbers are falling? I mean, how crucial is it to get it up to the 60 million that you guys want to do?
The best example I can use that is a ladder truck for a fire department today costs over $1 million. And we're able to write a check. And when you factor in the number of agencies that apply each year, none of them reach the maximum amounts in the program because there is a competitive nature to this grant funding. So, we're given, less than $20,000 to a fire department to buy $1 million ladder truck.
And if you all don't receive this funding, what could happen? How could it impact you all?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball to give you an exact answer, but we're going to see the problems that we've already identified across the Commonwealth grow in scope. So the agencies are going to continue to struggle financially. They're going to continue to struggle to recruit new members, and we're going to see less agencies in the future. All right. That being all I'm hearing, this is awesome. Easy job for me today. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to the host agency, and I think they're going to offer a tour for anybody that would like to see the facility here. Thank you very much for coming today. It's very important we get this message out because, as I said, our response community needs this additional funding. Thank you. Chief, all yours.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to do a little bit of a tour of our facility right here in Carlisle. You guys welcome, kind of come with me. We'll look at this ambulance. This one's a little more staged than most of our normal ones that are out running around, so we can't exactly get to the other side nicely on this, but I'm free to give you guys a tour, walk around. One of the things that this grant program has been tremendously helpful for us on is that we've been able to afford to just have some payments on some of our many tools that we use to save a life. Commissioner Cook talked about our stretcher system here that is now $40,000, and we have 10 of them. And when you talk about having a cap of just $15,000, well, okay, we're 3% of an ambulance, we have 10 ambulances, we need all the help we can get because you don't get to the hospital on just the stretcher, it takes the rest of it too. So we want to show you guys some of the equipment, talk about some of the associated costs and how Governor Shapiro and the Davis plan for the budget is both needed and frankly well overdue for a lot of us in the emergency medical services and fire service. So thank you, you guys can come on up.
I'm good.
Nice to meet you, Nathan.
Yeah, you've helped me. Oh, okay. I was trying to. That was my staff, not me.
Well, it's if you listen to the radio, I'd like to bring that up as a case study, and I'd like to actually interview first. I said, okay, told you. And he went through everything that he was thinking from the time he got on the scene to the collapse, to everything else that occurred.
To talk to you about what's really important for us is to get the help that we need as responders to be able to serve our communities better. You know, I went to college at St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Thanks, Chief.
So, hello, and thank you all for coming out to support Governor Shapiro's proposed $30 million budget increase for fire and EMS programs. To the EMS and fire,
Much more grounded in the work that we do from a public safety perspective, being out actually with the individuals that do the work. So, good afternoon, everyone. Like I said, it's great.
I'm happy to be back here at Cumberland Goodwill EMS. This was one of the first of many EMS agencies I visited since being appointed as the Acting Secretary of Health last year. And it's clear from my visits with EMS agencies across this beautiful state, the first medical services to recruit and retain workers. The program uses funds from the Firework Tax Act for the next 3 years to provide partial reimbursement for Pennsylvania residents.
That keeps them locked in place, but this is the same time that we're trying to recruit and retain people, and one of the things that can get when I started, that was not possible. Keeps them in there and then securely locks them in place too. It's both a back saver for our crews and also just, you know, you don't want to do the job and make it harder than it is. So if we can find these little solutions that take a little bit of extra work off, it's just better for our ability to keep people in the field. Service everything from right here, and that really impacts costs. Some other agencies, unfortunately, are not as fortunate as us with the road network, and there is tuition reimbursement. where if you are a paramedic and whatever bachelor degree you got, we'll help you get on the public service loan forgiveness plan. We'll help you get the reimbursement through the Department of Health for that. All takes about an hour. It takes about an hour of a chart to write a medical record that both serves the needs of the hospital, the patient, tracks and trends, has their vital signs. We can send it on over. But then we also have to bill. That's one thing that EMS has evolved to the point where we have to keep very critical skills refreshed that we might not use too often, but they do make a difference in saving life. So this is one that they use for innovations, percent of first pass airway successes. So we're pretty excited by that. Yeah. All right. Keep trucking along. Drunk, how do you get them down? And those types of realistic scenarios help students who might not have been exposed to that when they saw the brochure or the pamphlet or decided they wanted to become EMTs or paramedics. It helps them understand that this is a part of the job, this is how you do it safely and in a realistic way, that then when they go to a